kind of wild, this whole Sydney Sweeney explosion off of the back of a film that, just made $100 million? Is about to cross $100 million, might not even hit $100 million at the box office. Probably the biggest bomb of the entire year, and it came out in February. All of that ended up creating one of the biggest stars so far of this year. It's kind of wild to really think about that. Well, yeah, also, and then that other goofy rom-com about a couple going to a lesbian Australian wedding. I know it's absolutely absurd, but I can think of two good reasons why Sydney Sweeney is getting such attention, but it's a weird phenomenon that we're seeing right now, okay? Normally, the more you see of a celebrity in today's day and age, the less you like them. But the more you see about Sydney Sweeney, get your mind out of the gutter for a second, the more she's actually becoming appealable. See something like this, and it's like, okay, this isn't, okay, what's your favorite video game? Did you play video games growing up? And they're saying, I love Mario, I love Nintendo, Nintendo's my favorite Nintendo game, and I like the one with the buttons. No. This right here, this lets me know that, she was in it back in the cut. As he was asked in a recent interview, Sydney Sweeney reveals that she is a huge fan of one cult classic we all played as kids, which is true. And if you were growing up in, on, and around that time, the mid to late 2000s, during the PS2, GameCube, Xbox era, there was a trend. Like there was... Obviously, through the years, you had with the SNES and with the Genesis, you had your, platformers. That was basically the default genre for video games. You'd have a couple of fighting games and RPGs and stuff. But the basic way that an IP would get off the ground was as a platformer. Fast forward a couple of generations, and once you get into the PS2, mid-2000s era, you had the GTA clones, because cast your minds back to the 7th generation, back when Rockstar, instead of skipping out on one entire console cycle without releasing a mainline GTA, put out three of them. And the GTA clone, it was permeating everything. It was part sandbox, part third-person shooter, part racing game. It was a very popular genre, and very few IPs made the leap as successfully as The Simpsons. The Simpsons of all franchises. They had a couple of good games. More often than not, they had a bunch of stinkers. Simpsons Hit and Run, personally, I remember playing it. I was a big fan of The Simpsons, obviously, around the same time that everybody was a fan of The Simpsons. I have all the box sets, all the ones that have been released, and I know I have a copy of this game somewhere. It would be the PS2 version. Yeah, man, I played the heck out of this. And to hear her name check Simpsons Hit and Run specifically, well, Sydney Sweeney, that's a gamer right there. Sydney Sweeney has been in a plethora of diverse projects like the mature yet relatable Euphoria. That's something that I hear referenced often, but I don't actually know anybody who's watched it. I know the people have seen clips. A couple of them make a lot of sense, but it's just one of those films, or one of those TV series that's always going to get referenced, and nobody's ever going to have much to say about it. Donning a skin-tight supersuit for all of, 3 minutes? In, the poorly received Madam Web, starring in a rom-com that feels like it's straight out of the past with Glenn Powell and Anyone But You, and will star in the horror film titled Immaculate. I'm seeing that promoted quite a bit. An impressive resume to adore, and will be more so when she shares her gaming roots through The Simpsons Hit and Run. The actress went on to an interview stating that she would play the game with her brother growing up. Hey, nice. And it was not a secret that Sweeney has a passion for 4 wheels and an engine. She also was exposed to cars growing up, and one thing led to another, being able to drive in any direction at any speed and do whatever a player wants, and certainly right up her alley. Yeah, that was really cool about Simpsons Hit and Run. You could explore different parts. There were 3 unique areas of Springfield to go and traverse. Anyways, during an interview promoting her latest movie, Madam Web, one of the few interviews that didn't go viral. Interesting. Well, outside of, I guess, this clip right now. I don't think that after the release of the film, these chicks were doing too many interviews on him. She and her co-star Isabella Merced shared their favorite games growing up. Merced revealed that hers was any Mario game. See, just a basic bitch answer. And then Sydney Sweeney mentioned her and her brother was into gaming, or who was into gaming, got her into Simpsons Hit and Run. Yo, that's the champ. The game itself, took inspiration from Grand Theft Auto 3. A little bit more than that, but okay. But as the subheading implies, the simps are simping harder for Sydney Sweeney. Me personally, I seen this and it's like, oh wow, that's actually more attractive than any time that she's shown ample cleavage, okay? Because that's a reasonably deep cut. For as many fans as Simpsons Hit and Run has, it's like you gotta have actually been in the trenches to know anything about that game. So for her to actually mention that, hey, good on her. Doesn't make her any more or less attractive. It just, hey, shows that she's a real person and not somebody who's just there to recite talking points, because nobody, okay, unless it's like a really savvy agent, nobody's ever gonna just go ahead and feed her those lines. And unlike a couple of her co-stars from Madam Web, Sydney Sweeney legitimately is coming out the other side of this astronomical bomb so much better than the rest of her compatriots. For all of the revisionist history that's being applied to this in the very short period of time we've been dealing in the aftermath of it, a lot of people saying, oh, Dakota Johnson's so based for coming out and saying what she said after it. I've said my piece on that, okay? Her ex post facto points and claims about how rotten the industry is has so much AstroTurf on it, Barry Sanders should be running in for a touchdown on it. When it comes to Sweeney, I'm not mad at her. Sydney Sweeney on Madam Web bombing, I was just hired as an actress. Now see, with all of the stupid comments that the uncharismatic Dakota Johnson has said about that, like I said, I've said my piece on that. But this is how you handle it. Sydney Sweeney is opening up about Madam Web after the Sony Marvel film opened to disappointing box office results and reviews. Euphoria star is seemingly unfazed by the negativity around the film and is only along for the ride. Here's how you handle it. I was just hired as an actress to be in it. I was just along for the ride for whatever was going to happen. Do the best that you can with what you got. Sweeney said in an interview with the Los Angeles Times, Sweeney took a swipe at Madam Web when she hosted Saturday Night Live. Yeah, rolled with the punches, you know. Just hung with the jokes because everybody knows that it's a joke, okay? Like, it was a meme the moment that the trailer came out. There was a film that was DOA after the first piece of promotional material, and then with the goofy way that they dropped little hints by having costume reveals on Chinese bottles of cranberry juice. Like, what the hell are we doing over here? And then to go ahead and reference Dakota Johnson, her going out there on the interview tour, not going along with the memes, not playing up that stuff. If you knew, okay, if you knew that the script had changed so much ever since you initially signed on, you thought that, oh, something's going to be iffy, okay, and the public perception out there is already something that this is going to be a meme, this is going to be a total joke, run with that, go with that. But no, Dakota Johnson has just gone wherever the wind blows, and that's what makes her so inauthentic. That's what's going to make her fade in comparison to what's happening with Sydney Sweeney, because I think that the attention that she's getting right now is undue, and that she's getting far too much praise at the moment for just having, basic talking points regurgitated. But at least right here, this is authentic, okay? I couldn't do anything more that's there. She also talked about the box office bomb. Hey man, that's out of my hands, okay? That is something that other people can go ahead and deal with. I was just here specifically to be an actor in the role I was paid for. The same thing happened, okay? A good analogy right here. Or an analogous situation, rather, with Iman Vellani off of The Marvels. What did she say? That's a Bob Iger thing. There's nothing I could do about the box office. I was just happy to be here. I love the character. Tried to do the best by the character that I possibly could. Hopefully we can do more with it. But yeah, how the film performed, outside of what I could personally do, not a lot I can say about it. That's why people have, much praise for how she handled the Marvel situation and how Sydney Sweeney is handling the Madam Web situation. And of course, we know why she's getting so much leeway. It's a fact that's definitely not lost on me, but at least I have good intentions about it. Not like the rest of those simps that are out there that just, decide to paint their shoes and check the quality of the Scotch Guard on their computer chairs whenever they search up Sydney Sweeney. Ugh. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.